From the studios of Foxboro Cable Access, located in the center of Foxborough, Massachusetts, you are watching Around Foxborough.
Welcome to another episode of Around Foxborough. My name is Julia. I'm your host today. We have very exciting guest from Baltimore, Maryland. So without further notice, we can introduce you. So Yosef, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Drew, for having me. I'm Yosef, Yisrael.
Wonderful. So Yosef, please tell us who you are, where you're from originally, and then where Baltimore I revealed already, but can you please tell us who you are?
Sure. So my name is Yosef Yisrael. I'm originally from Jamaica, the Caribbean. Most people associate Jamaica with Bob Marley because he was a famous musician that came out of Jamaica on the music scene. But I grew up in Jamaica. I left there when I was about 18 years old, came to New York, and from there I think I just started going to different places and trying to find myself. So the journey of finding myself began very early. And so my goal was to figure out what my path is supposed to be in life.
So you came from Jamaica to New York, and where did you go after?
So I went to Boston after New York. I was kind of drifting because when I came to the States, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life. So I kind of drifted for a while and got into different situations that sort of inevitably led me to Boston, where I started going to school, and Boston is where I got my education. I went to Newberry College, and I also went to Berklee College of Music.
So what did you do at the Newberry College?
I went to Newberry College to study respiratory therapy, and I eventually worked at some of the hospitals here in Massachusetts, Maryland General. I did my clinicals there. I worked at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, so I kind of found my way around different hospitals in Massachusetts.
And then you went to Berklee College of Music.
And I went to Berklee College of Music, and that's a funny story because when I went to Berklee, I found out that this is what I really love to do, because I was searching for myself. And it's not like I didn't know that I had some music in me, because from I was 5 years old, I began playing the guitar. So I knew I was always musical, but when I went there, all this just came together for me. I became very aware of what my passion is, what my gift is. Yeah.
So what was your principal instrument at Berklee? Was it piano, guitar?
It was piano. Yes, I always wanted to learn to play the piano, and so at some point I started just tinkering around with it, and my experience from the guitar I sort of transferred to because it's all music, so I transferred that to learning the piano.
All right. So we met at Berklee.
Yes, we did.
And that's how we connected recently.
Yes.
And you told me exciting news that you have published a book.
Yes.
So would you please tell us about your book?
Yeah, so I published this book. It's called Imagine Me Unlimited, and it mirrors a lot of my life experiences. It says, Imagine Me Unlimited, finding yourself and believing you can be whatever you imagine. Because I basically believe that. And I could just read a brief summary of what I wrote on the back of the book. It says, you are here and you're gifted. Every single person that is born contributes something to the world in one form or another. You did not have control over being born, but what you do have control over is a decision, whether to use what you've been given. So I believe that, based on all my experiences in the world, I believe that you have greatness within you, and the first order of business is to discover yourself, find out who you are, and remove the limitations from yourself so you can grow.
Wonderful. So when did you publish your book?
This book was published in June of last year, 2019, and it's been having great reviews. There's a lot of my colleagues who bought my book where I work, and a lot of reviews I have online. People who have read it have learned a lot more about me because a lot of my experiences are in the book, and they thought it was a great read for everybody.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So, of your whole background, going coming from Jamaica, New York, and Boston, and then right now, Baltimore, what do you do in Baltimore right now?
So in Baltimore, for my regular job, I work at Johns Hopkins Medical Center as a respiratory therapist. When I went to Newberry College, that's what I studied. And so I've been working in this field now for over 25 years. And so I've become really naturally good at something that you practice over and over again. I've become really proficient at it. And so that's kind of my day job. So I do that. And then my spare time, I also write. Yeah.
So when you're working as a respiratory therapist, and then when did you have this epiphany of publishing a book?
So the funny thing is I had this sort of voice in my head saying, you should write this book, because I started journaling, which is something that I thought was only women do. I mean, I kind of like from the old school, they say, oh, because girls usually talk about journaling, so I thought it was always about, that's what they do. But I was compelled to start putting my own thoughts on paper. And once I started doing that, it was sort of like a catharsis, like it just released a lot of the confusion that was in my mind or things that I was thinking about to get it out there. And it started becoming something that I could refer back to. As I grew, I could see some of the challenges that I had, how I handled them, and not repeating some of the mistakes that I made. And the journaling kind of helped me in the writing process and get me to write this book.
So how long did it take you to write this book and the process?
So collectively, I say it should be about maybe almost a year, 8 months maybe. I kind of procrastinated a little bit. So it took me a little bit longer because I would write and then I'd stop and then I'd write and then I'd stop. But all my writing combined, I think the whole process, the writing and the publishing took me about 8 months totally. Yeah.
So how was your feeling of getting your first copy in your hand?
Wow, that blew my mind, because to have an idea about something and to actually see it come into like focus and that you can actually hold it was just mind-blowing to me. And people were congratulating me like, you did it, you did it, you did it. And that was exciting to me, and that made me believe more of my ideas. Though if I have an idea, yes, it can happen.
Imagine Me Unlimited.
Imagine Me Unlimited, possibilities.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. So why are you here in Massachusetts all the way from Maryland today?
So the great news is I was invited by the Boston Arts Academy. They are using my book for one of their classes, and that was very exciting. I've had great feedback from the students, and they've wrote me emails, and it's just great that they're thinking now about their future in a way that how they're going to contribute to the world, removing limitations. And that's been the reason I came to Boston, is to talk to these students. And I was also fortunate after that to speak to Foxborough High School students. I actually just came from there speaking to these students, and these students are amazing. Students are amazing. Young people are amazing. I mean, they have so much within them that they want to express and they want to grow, and they're just excited about life. And I think you can connect to them in the terms of removing limitations, in possibilities. When you discuss possibilities with them, I think they can see that. So it's been an exciting thing to talk to them class after class and to see their responses and how they take this and they're running with it. It's just awesome.
So at the Foxborough High School, what class did you speak to?
I spoke to junior high school students. So they are getting ready to do a project. One of the projects that they're doing a research paper about students as professionals. So I was asked to speak from my perspective, Imagine Me Unlimited, how that would tie in with students as professionals.
So I would like to shout out to Holly Geffers, one of the state teachers at Foxborough High School.
Yes.
So what are the favorite questions that you had from students, especially if this is like Foxborough and Foxborough High School students? Do you recall some of the questions that they asked you?
So one student asked me today, how can you be unlimited if you perceive yourself as limited? or if other people perceive you as limited, can you be unlimited?
That's a good question.
Yes, and I said to him, listen, it's not about how people see you, it's how you see yourself. Whatever you think is what you become, okay? So if you believe that you can achieve something, if you believe that you can be great, then you will have greatness coming out of you. So no matter what comes at you, whatever negative comes at you, people will always sometimes bring you negative things, but the fact is that you need to remain true to who you are. You need to know who you are and live your truth.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
How about Boston Arts Academy? Were there good questions?
They had a lot of questions for me. I'm trying to remember. I know that they sent me a lot of emails.
Prior to your visit?
After my visit.
Oh.
The response is sort of like they're starting to think about this thinking forward into the future, thinking about removing limitations. I got an email from a student that said that she was so happy for this class because now she's thinking about removing all the limitations that she struggles with. So it sort of brings the whole argument to the surface. Something that may be in the subconscious mind of these students has been brought to the surface. And now they can really now have this conversation in the open. And some of them are struggling with issues of direction. What should I do? Where should I go? Because they're getting all different kind of feedback from people that is not incongruent with their heart, what they feel or what they know that they're good at, the direction that they want to go. So I'm there to encourage people and to start the conversation that you need to find you. Find you first. Understand who you are. And from there, you'll be able to make more sound decisions going forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in our previous discussion that you shared some personal story
Right.
of adversity.
Right.
In New York, you had some
Right.
rough time. Would you mind to share with us? And then maybe that experience led to like some of the writing?
Right, absolutely. So when I came to the States, I came as a teenager and didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I started working little odd jobs here and there. And after a while, I found myself on the street. I was homeless. I was homeless for about a year, and it was really hard because I'm in a country that I'm not familiar with, a new environment, and I did not know what I was supposed to do. I did not know what resources I could access. So I was just drifting. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So I was really just drifting. And this happened during the winter. I became homeless during the winter. So I was riding the trains to keep warm all night, sleeping on the trains, and sometimes you would be laying on the bench and people, you know, the officer, the policeman would come and bang the side of the rail to wake you up and, you know, get out, you gotta go. I always was trying to find someplace warm, you know, to sleep because I was just always tired, always cold. So, you know, that experience led me to understand that people go through these things. I saw other homeless people. I'm not sure why they were homeless, but from that experience, I was able to relate to homeless people. Because it's one thing to tell someone about what they should do, but when they see that you yourself have been through that situation, now you can be more effective because you know the experience, you know what they're feeling, you know what they're going through, and now you can help them even on a better level.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what in a book or chapter that adversity reflects in your writing? Like what section? Do you have any particular section? Or?
I think there's one section that I talked about my homelessness, and this was, I think, the pursuit of happiness.
Okay.
You know, I named the chapters either from famous movies or poetry, something like that. So this one was a pursuit of happiness. And it talked about just from I was a child, knowing certain things naturally and leaving that point of knowing to go into obscurity and not finding yourself. And it's this drifting that happened to me. And a lot of the drifting was based on taking or embracing someone else's idea for my life, what they thought I should be doing, rather than what I felt inside I should be doing. So I denied myself and embraced other people's ideas. And that's what led me on this long road in finding myself. So I call it the pursuit of happiness, because there's a lot of conjecture, a lot of making the decisions without proper information or without complete information, and just going down the road not sure where I'm going.
Yeah.
Sure.
So now you're a published author, and then getting this feedback from different people, reaching out to different people, and you mentioned that maybe the book is taking on its own life.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about it?
So when I was writing this book, first I didn't even want to write a book. I had no interest in writing a book. It's just something inside me kept saying, you could write that book, you should write that book. And I know there are people in the past who have said to me, you should write a book about your life. I think people would like that. But I just always brushed that off, like, yeah, whatever, I'm not a writer, kind of thing. But eventually, that sort of almost like a nagging voice in my head, hey, write that book. And I said, okay, let's write the book. And I'll write the book, I'll put it on Amazon or something, and I'll just forget about it. Whatever life it takes of its own, fine. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, fine. And I never expected it to start taking on a life of its own. So it's demanding that I follow it. So a lot of people have been reading the book, and they have had this great feedback, and they want me to talk to them about finding their path. A lot of my colleagues said the book just resonates with them, and they say, come and counsel me, tell me what I should do with my life. It's almost like I have this sign on my forehead saying I'm a counselor. But it's really interesting that the book has taken on a life of its own, and I'm just following where it goes. So when someone picks it up, when Boston Arts Academy pick it up and say, oh, this is perfect, we've been looking for something like this, I said, okay, we'll go with that. And it's been the greatest experience.
That's
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
So with that said, what kind of vision do you have now with your published book?
So what the vision I have for this book is that I want to continue the conversation, especially with high school students who are getting ready to make major decisions about what they're going to major, what their career is going to be. I want to start this conversation to figure out who you are, understand who you are first, okay? And I'm in the process of writing this as a program designed for high school students, so that they can go through this program and they can understand, okay, this is what I need to be thinking about going forward. I'm here because I matter. I'm here because I have a purpose. I'm here because I have something within me. I have greatness within me and something to contribute to the world. One of the examples I spoke with the students, I said, everybody has a different fingerprint, don't we? So if I want to open your cell phone and it's locked by your fingerprint, I can't do it because I don't have your fingerprint. But that's how unique we each are. We all have our different uniqueness and our different talents. So the goal is to find you. Find out what it is that you possess within you, and you develop that. What comes naturally to you? Focus on it and develop it, and becomes a service to others. So this is my service. This is my service to the community, this is my service to the world, and this is my giving back.
Great. So how can people reach out to you? Do you have a website? Do you have an Instagram?
Absolutely. My website is called Imagine Me Unlimited, just like the book, .com, imaginemeunlimited.com. And there you'll find my bio. I do some blogging sometimes, and also information about me. I offer certain educational courses that I've started to design. And if you just want to reach out to me, my phone number is there, and also email address, Instagram, things like that. All that's on the website.
So just like your book, Imagine Me Unlimited, but .com.
Yes, absolutely.
And the people can purchase your book
Yes.
from your website as well?
Yes.
And it's available on different platforms?
It's available on Amazon. It's also available as an ebook on Barnes & Noble, as well as Amazon, of course. And also iTunes.
And are you thinking of doing audiobook for this book?
I'm thinking of doing an audiobook. I have all the equipment because, as a musician, I had my studio and I had the equipment to record it. But that's something that I plan to do in the near future.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then what kind of venture are you thinking of besides this book that just got published? Are you thinking about second book, or are you thinking about music, film, anything?
Absolutely. I actually started a second book. And I don't want to give away the title yet, but it's about the dynamics between different cultures, how we relate to each other. And I think that would be an interesting read for people and to sort of get a background of my thought process throughout all this. And also, I am going to be getting back into music at some point because I was working on an album a few months ago, and I want to sort of go back to that to complete that. So there's a lot of things that's on deck, waiting, but this is it's an exciting time for me. It's a very exciting time for me because everything that I'm doing, I'm flowing naturally with it.
You mentioned about film too.
Film, yes. I also discovered that I have this ability to write scripts for film. And for me, that's very similar to when I'm composing music. I can see the whole scenes and everything like that from start to finish. So I realized that, here's another gift. I'm discovering more about me as I go along. So I'm embracing everything and bringing that to the world.
That's very exciting.
Yes.
So you're being very creative. You have a full-time job, but you're being very creative.
Yes.
And then now you have this published book, Imagine Me Unlimited.
Yes.
Great. So is there anything else that our audience should know about you or your book? Do you have any message to our audience?
I would say to the audience, do not limit yourself. There's no need to limit yourself. Whatever it is that you have inside of you, if you have an idea for something, you can make it happen. You can make it happen. And I make a quote from Herbie Hancock that says, life is not about finding your limitations. It's about finding your infinity. So keep pushing the limits.
That's really deep.
Yes, absolutely.
So how are you applying your book to your daily life?
Sometimes I have to reread it, because sometimes just like my journaling, I have to go back and just make sure that, am I missing anything, something that I did before, a lesson that I learned before? Am I going to have to relearn that lesson again? Am I making any mistakes? If I'm falling out of my flow, if I feel like I'm falling away from my flow, then I have to bring myself back and use some of the same principles. One of the important principles I use in this book is in a chapter called Rules of Engagement. And that talks about protecting your dream, protecting your ideas. Because one of the things that can affect me personally is when people tell me negative things. If I have an idea and they say, this is not going to work, So I have to make sure that I don't tell that person in the first place that I have this idea. So from doing that, I've learned certain rules of engagement and sort of filter through people or restrict the flow of information from me about something that I'm doing, depending on the person that I'm dealing with. So these are some of the rules that I use even from my own book.
That's wonderful. So unfortunately, we are getting out of time.
Okay.
So would you please give us your last word?
My last word. So there's a quote that says, someone who is unaware of his ignorance will be misled by his knowledge. Think about that. If you don't know, you can only make decisions based on what you know. So what you're unaware of, you're going to make decisions on what you know. So if you know more about you, you'll be making more sound decisions. If you don't know about yourself, you're just going to be making arbitrary decisions. So the more you know about yourself and what you have, is more sound your decisions will be.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for being our show around Foxboro today.
Thank you.
And it's such a pleasure to have you as my college friend.
Thank
but
you
now
so much.
We got reconnected through your book.
Absolutely.
The book took life on its own, and then we connecting a lot of friends, I think. And then now you're in Foxboro, the Foxboro Cable Access.
Right.
Thank you very much again for coming.
Thank you for having me, and I just want to let you know that this copy is yours.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored. I can't wait to read it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you everyone for watching Around Foxboro. My name is Yisrael. Today we had Yosef Yisrael for our guest. His book is called Imagine Me Unlimited, and his website is imaginemeunlimited.com. We have Betty Travers behind the camera, and then Paul Beck as our director. And thank you to our audience, and our executive director is Michael Weber. If you missed our past episode, you can go to fcatv.org right here, and then you can go video, and then Around Foxboro. Thank you very much again.